Alright, so today we're going to be doing a CV axle replacement on a 2006 Saab 9.3. It's been a while since I've uploaded, and ended up getting me a new ride too, because this is not the black one. Could make a story to that in another video, but let's get started on the main focus. CV axle, we're going to be doing both sides. I figured I'd start on this side because no transmission fluid should spill on this side because it's not directly connected to the transmission through this side. And this was my first time, so I figured that I'd start on the easier side. The tools you're going to need, I'd say get yourself a breaker bar. You can use a torque wrench to break the wheels and whatnot, but that's not what it's used for. To break the wheels, I would use a breaker bar. And you're going to need a 32 millimeter half-inch drive. That's for the axle nut in the middle. You're going to need this E14 E-Torx socket. You can get these at pretty much almost any parts store. I'll show you what you need that for in a bit. This should be just what you need. Oh yeah, and I would recommend a drain bucket 2 as well for the other side for when the transmission fluid spills. So we'll go ahead and get this jacked up in the air and let's get to the next step. Okay, so for the next part, I recommend you taking off the wheel, get the center cap off, this little guy, and putting back on the wheel. Just makes it a lot easier. I don't have power tools, it's all hand tools. You're gonna wanna have that right there in the wheel to kind of anchor the vehicle so it's not moving while it's up in the air, or once you get the wheel back on, tighten just a couple of these, not like maybe 3, 4, tighten them, and then set it back on the ground, and then you try to break this loose, the axle nut, and I'll get back to you when that's finished. Alright, so we got the axle nut loose, and now we're on to the next part, which will be loosening up the lower control arm, which is why this E14 Torx socket comes in handy, because you have to attach that. Not sure if you can see it right there on that guy. That's where the E14 goes. And then, not sure what size that is, but we'll find out. And that's just, that Torx is going to hold it. And then you're going to go ahead and either wrench that off or, well, you can't even see it. Not goofy. But you're either going to wrench that off or something. I'll figure it out though. Oh, yeah. But you see what's going on here. So, loosen that with the wheel on, and then get your E14 Torx, and that's going to hold the back side of that part, and while you unloosen that, and then once that comes off, you're going to need a pry bar to pry off the lower control arm. And once this is loose and it's going to be free, this should be able to come out. You might need to get the tool and put it back on there, hit it a little, but that's about it. I'll show you if that comes to that part. Usually that's kind of in there, so you just need to hit it out. And yeah, it's pretty simple. Once you learn this side, it's the same as the other side. The only thing is you're dealing with fluid, so yeah, because this side does not directly go into the transmission, as you see. Transmission is all the way on the left side. That's where the fluid's gonna spill. So yeah, we'll see you if I manage to get past, getting further towards success. Alrighty. Okay, now we got the axle nut off, and we got this little guy off. And you'll see what I mean is, on one side you're gonna be loosening, and then this side you're just gonna be holding while the screw is trying to loosen. So once that's off, the lower control arm should be free, and then you can start. You can use a pry bar, but be careful you don't damage the little boot that's inside of there. You don't want to pierce. There's a little boot right there, and you can pry it down and get it out the way. But be careful you don't ruin that little boot right there once that Torx is out. I'll see you at the next part. Okay, now we're back. We got the lower control arm out of there, and the boot is unscathed. As you can see, it won't focus, but the boot is nice. Once that's out of the way, then you can begin trying to pry the end, the outer end of the CV axle out of here. You could do whatever method you know, or try taking a pry bar and going right here and just being gentle on it, prying it out, just you know, until you get it out. And once you get it out, then the real fun part begins, taking it out from back there, which you could do it by pulling on it. If it's not in there really bad, it's just take a couple pulls, or you may need like a puller cable, or like just some other method. But it's my first time, so learning as I go. I won't know what I need for that until the time comes. But for now, we're on this part, and I'll be back when she's out. Alright, we are on the next part. Took us some time. It's dark outside. It's really rusted on there, or just stuck in there really bad. But I was punching the center out after getting the Torx loose and the lower control arm out of the way. If it's hard for some of you guys, it is my first time, so I don't know what to feel for, but now I do. But what you want to do with some help from the Saab community, the axle is going to be sticking out right here. You want to put this on there until it's flushed, and then since you're replacing it, you're just going to go ahead and start beating the crap out of it, and till it starts to pop out. Once it's really easy, you can just yank her out. Now it's just yanking it out from back there, which I know some need a puller tool. I don't know if I'm gonna need it. Let's see how easy it comes out. I'll get back to you. And pretty much once you're done with this side, it's the same thing on the other side, but you're gonna deal with transmission fluid spilling out. So I recommend you get a spill bucket or a catch pan and capture that fluid. And if your pan is really clean, you could reuse the fluid, put it back in your transmission. It's pretty easy. I could probably show you that if I get over there. I'll just show you that in, but it's pretty much the same steps over there. Just you're dealing with transmission fluid because that axle is directly into the transmission. So once you get this out, you start reversing your steps with those new guys. And I'll get back to you once we get the new one in. Alright, so we're back. It's the next day. Figured I'd get some rest because I didn't have all the tools to do the job, but to add on, you should only hammer out the center if you know everything is being replaced is new, because it won't matter if you're hammering on the old stuff because you're replacing it anyway. But if you are going to be reusing this axle nut, wouldn't hammer on it. But my CV axle came with a new nut and new CV axle, so it didn't matter. I hammered it out and got the new one in. That's the new one. The old one is in seen better days. I recommend using a puller tool. You can rent these at AutoZone. It's a slide hammer and it hooks onto the back right there, and you just, once it's on there, you go ahead and yank with all your might. Just keep doing that until it comes. It'll come eventually. It's pretty much the same process for the next side, but on the other side, what I recommend doing is putting this whole thing back together, let it sit on a wheel, so that way you could lift that other side up more, so the transmission fluid will tilt more to the back of the gearbox. And let me go over there and show you. And there's some gear lube. You want to get some of that for the spline ends of the CV axle. See, this one's already ready to pop out, but I'm going to wait until I'm done with that side. So as you can see, the gearbox is right there. You're gonna have fluid spilling out. Once you take that out, you're gonna want to have a spill bucket ready. Mine's is in the car. I'll get it in a second. And a little here once I'm starting on this side, but be prepared for some fluid to spill out. To minimize it, you can go ahead and lower that side down. Once the wheel and everything is back on, you got everything put back together, you can lift this end up more to tilt the gearbox more that way. So the fluid is less likely to make a huge mess. So it's just the same steps, just you're on the other side and you gotta deal with fluid. So just continue the same steps and yeah. Dirty Saab. We'll be cleaning it, but in the middle of a road trip. Taking this bad girl to North Carolina. That's pretty much it. Any questions you got, you could leave a comment down below and I'll try to help you to the best of my ability. If you guys would like to see a video on this thing, let me know. I'll tell you the story. It's got a stage 1 tune on it, intake. It's really nice. Lots of fun. Like, love this Saab. That'll be it. If you guys have any questions, any comments, what did I do, what techniques did I use and all that, leave a comment and I'll help you out. And all the tools I used, again, to go over that: breaker bar, torque wrench somewhere, 18, I think it was to hold, 18 was to hold, no, you want to go to 17 or 18 to hold this, because I was missing some, a ratchet, breaker bar, torque wrench, that bad boy, CV axles, of course, some gear lube. You don't really need a screwdriver unless yours just come out easy. I really recommend some hammers. But the hammers are just for hammering that out, your old one. That should be it. Anything I missed, just comment down below and I'll help you out. Yeah. Peace out. One thing that I forgot to add that I'll probably just stick at the end of the video is when you get the new one installed, don't start putting everything back together yet, because you got to get this seated, your new axle nut and your end of your axle spline. You want to make sure you grease it up just like I did. And what you want to do before you connect the lower control arm, you don't want that in yet. See how mine is just sitting out? You want to get this seated first, so you want to put the nut on, start tightening it into. First, you want to get this in by hand because you don't want to mess up any splines. Once it's lined up and everything, that's when you want to put the nut on and start tightening it to bring this fully through, the axle fully through the hub assembly. Once you do that, then you can start putting everything back together. Forgot to add that, so this will probably be just at the end of the video as a little tip. Anything that I forgot, I'll probably just mention in the comments, or if anything you guys need help with, just put it in the comments. And that, the axle, you want to make sure it's all the way in until you see no more really of the silver good stuff. There is a I forgot what it's called, rubber, some type of seal right there. It's gonna fall off. It might fall off. You want to make sure that goes back. Check for it on the old CV axle in case it's stuck to that, or it may have just fell off. Like mine fell off and it was just sitting on this lower control arm, just sitting in there. Just pick it up, put it back on there, make sure it goes on there. Then you're good to go. Once everything is good and in place, you're good. Now, I've already done that part where I seated this and got it all the way through the hub assembly. Now I'm gonna start putting everything back together, and I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the other side, and that'll be it.